This is a story of how I died while trying to make this tower, but it's a very fun project, so I hope you enjoy. To begin our project, I'll be using this kit just for the foundational elements of this project. It comes with a bunch of pieces for the walls and the roof, and I did already go ahead and get started on doing the base coat a long time ago before I realized I wanted to do this full time. And here are the pieces for the floor and roof, and the kit comes with a lot of pieces for the accessories and furniture. It also comes with a manual that has no English and no colors and very minimal pictures, but it'll just make more of an excuse to make everything more original. And the kit also comes with glossy paper for the wallpaper and the outside designs that we did use a few things from. And it came with a lot of glue. Oh, we used a lot of glue. And the star of the show, my Posca Pens. And a lot of the research that was done for this project was actually used with this book called The Art of Tangled by Disney. And a lot of the artists in there were very in-depth with what the decisions they made and the color schemes, and I referred to it a lot. And oh my goodness, my appreciation for the movie just skyrocketed. So next I was super excited to do the murals of the tower, but before I did that, there's my cat Pinto Bean, say hello. Before I did that, I knew that I had to figure out where like the stairs and the fireplace went. So I'm making the stairs, oh so satisfying, beautiful, the amazing power of editing and time lapses. I didn't want to glue it down yet, so I just used a yellow colored pencil to mark where it would go, so I knew where to paint around. And then next it was time for the infamous fireplace from Rapunzel. I did not like the one that the kit came with. Why is it not symmetrical? Here's the stone pattern it gave for it, so I wanted to create the one from the movie as much as possible. So I have this wood trim from Home Depot that I bought one day thinking, I could use this for a miniature one day. And here I am using it for a miniature one day. So I just played around with it, and I used foam board to recut a symmetrical fireplace. Thank you. And then I just laid out the wood where I thought it would go. And you guys, I really wish you were there with me. I didn't know if I should do this piece on the inside or on the outside, but I think I figured it out and I liked this layout. So then I added a little bit of an arch under because I thought that was way cuter. And then I just started to cut and sand down the pieces so they would fit really smoothly into the fireplace. Then I just cut out the little arch under the fireplace and I glued all the pieces down, and y'all, I was feeling pretty proud of myself. And there was a little bit of a bumpy gap on the side from the foam board, so I just covered it up, and it was time to paint it white, and she's beautiful. So it is the time I am finally most excited for, Rapunzel's murals. And so I was going to start off with this little green area over here right around the mantle. So I painted it this gorgeous light green color. Oh, this color just makes me so happy. Then to the left of that was Rapunzel's actual first self-portrait of herself as a little girl. So I added this blue splotchy area right under the staircase to the left of the fireplace. Then here is my all-time favorite part of the entire mural, the little animal. So I just lightly sketched out with colored pencils, and then with my Posca pens, I started to fill them out. So we have a piggy, a squirrel, and an owl, and I wasn't able to fit them all in the exact same composition as her original murals, but I tried to all include them in and squeeze them in best as I could. And you guys, these are so tiny. You will not understand how tiny they are. So now I'm doing the green deer on the other side with the antlers and the little bear over there, and I'm pretty sure that's a bear. And then I did the details like the speckles on the pig, the beaks, the little legs, and I did improvise. I did squeeze some more animals in all areas that I could because I just love painting animals, and this was genuinely my favorite part of the entire project. So just look at them, just watch them come to life. And a weird thing, in the murals in the actual one, there aren't any smiles or really mouths. So there was a point where I tried to add smiles to them, and they actually ended up looking pretty creepy. So I erased a lot of them, but they're just so cute, you guys. Look at them. They're so stinking cute. I did try adding some contrast to the animals by using darker colors, but it wasn't really like that in the mural, so I respected that. My favorite animal is a fox, so of course I had to add one, so I did so on the deer's back. I did an ombre in the tail, and it's so cute. And then there were a lot of birds in murals that I could not fit in this tower, before, so I tried squeezing in birds as much as I could in this mural. There's a mama bird and baby birds. And this was so small. I was struggling. These were the smallest paintbrushes that I had at this point. I ended up having to get tinier ones. And then it was time to go to the darker colors. So I did not have a Posca pen for this, so I made a darker green just by mixing. And this is where I'm getting a little bit anxious, but here we go. I am using Winsor Newton acrylic paint, by the way. So here I realized I didn't like the shape of the hill, so I did 2 coats in where I wanted the hill to dry, and you can watch paint dry there. You're welcome. And then I realized that there are these sun rays in the background that I didn't even notice, so you will never see me use a ruler, but here I just used a side of the roofing panel to do the sun rays, and I just used a Posca pen to fill that in. I found that the best method was to just mix 3 of the colors that I wanted and just layer them on top of each other, and here I'm fixing the awful bump that I did before, and it created this really beautiful shade of this warm yellow, and I had to try to force myself to make it messy, but this was the final product. And now it's time for the lights or the lantern. So I'm doing this gorgeous turquoise blue, and as you can see, I'm very nervous to actually make a shape with it, so I'm slowly forcing myself with light color slowly to dark to just do it. And I love the movement in the paint. Rapunzel has a lot of rough edges in her mural, so I do the Q-tip stippling method to create that kind of rough edge effect that I forced myself to do. And here are the tiny paintbrushes that came in. And I just keep the paint wet by using a spray bottle that I use to spray my cats with when they're being naughty. And so I just created some depth by adding a dark blue, and I feel like this really made the sky more alive. Like it was just really, the sky was in the middle of her room. I drew where her little body and hair is going to go, and then I wanted to create the glow that the lanterns give off before actually painting the lantern, so I did so by doing a light blue and then blending it out so each lantern has a soft glow to it. So we're going to let that layer dry on first before we paint on the lanterns, and then I wanted to move on to the trees. Going to make sure everything connects first, and before I draw the tiniest trees I think I've ever painted, I realized that the sky actually went down the hill a little bit more. And that's when I noticed this little tiny flaw in the corner of brown paint. I don't know how it got there, but I covered it up with white, and then I covered it over with Posca, and then we can work on our tiny little trees again. So they reminded me a lot from Sleeping Beauty, and I had a lot of fun painting them. They were just so dainty. And yes, thank you for moving on from my mistake. You'll see more of those, hint, hint. And so I added more tiny baby lanterns, and I wanted to do the darker tree. So to do the trunk, I just did a pool of dark paint within the tree and dragged it down with a tiny paintbrush. And I used the same tiny paintbrush to create some details with lighter greens within the trees. And aren't these just so cute? Okay, people. It's time. This is not a drill. It is time for the lanterns. So I just did different shades of Posca pens, like orange, whites, and yellows to make them glow. And I just loved the final result. Next was time to do the foliage in between the animals now that we've laid down a nice color palette of neutral green. So what I did first was I just went in with white and the green skinny Posca pen, even though it's too cool tone for my liking. I thought this would be really nice for a base layer, and then I'd go in with different shades of neutral green on top, and it would just save me a lot of time. And this method worked really well. So I'm drawing tiny little leaves, tiny little plants, and I'm just kind of going off of the very charismatic, fun, organic shapes from the original mural, and then going in on top of that to add highlights and patterns. Woo! It was tricky, but we did it. And then it was time to draw little tiny baby Rapunzel. So I purposely had to draw her not proportional. You can see her growth through her self-portraits throughout the mural, and this was her first one, so it's a little wonky, but I had her arms will be a little too long, holding these lights with the different heights engraved into the wood. I didn't know the date, so I didn't do that, but I made her look I made her look even creepier, so I had to fix that. So once her face dried, I lightened it up a little bit, and it was looking a lot better, and I gave her highlights. And young Rapunzel was done, and it was time to do her all grown up with the animals in her hair mural. So I did a base coat of this green that I had to do a few times because it didn't look right. And then I drew her hair, and this painting reminded me so much of one that I did inspired of Gustav Klimt in college with the fox. So I just loved this mural so much. Then I did the outline for all the animals and filled it in with a peach color, and I did her limbs and dress. And then I was going to go off of the reference and fill this whole green hill with foliage, and I was like, no, no, I want to fill it with animals. So my husband and I came up with a whole list of colored animals that we could do in a rainbow order, red to pink, left to right. And I did that, and I'm so glad that I did that. It just made me love this mural even more. So we had a pink little snail, a worm. I added a duck. I love ducks. And we added a burgundy frog and a chicken and a rooster. Then I went ahead and added details to our cute little new friends. And then I started working on the animals within her hair, and I wanted them to all be within this like neutral, warm toned area, but still different. So I filled that all in. I'm worried I made the raccoon a little bit too big, but it's fine. Still super cute. And then I added a dog. I really wanted Rapunzel to have a dog and a cat. Hello. And then I did the same sort of thing. I had all the animals within her hair, but in a slightly different composition that fit more with the mural space I was working with. And the animals just slowly started coming alive, and it just made me really think of Rapunzel's trauma and how she kind of created all these imaginary, little friends to keep her company. So I wanted to bring them as much cuteness and comfort as I possibly could. Now that we were done with our warm tone colors, we moved on to cool. So I did the base coat for our cat, a fawn sleeping on a turtle, some mushrooms, and a lavender fox. While that's drying, I gave our friends some food like a radish and a carrot. And then, you guys, I gave Rapunzel an axolotl. I love axolotls. So we did the base coat for that, and we started doing details. I made the fox look really creepy. I tried to fix it. I made it worse. But don't worry, it's magic paint. You can paint over it. And then I gave the axolotls little antennas. I was screaming at this point. You can't hear me, but I am screaming when I was painting this. And then I worked on adding some more details, like to the shell of this turtle by adding some fun shapes. And then I really had to add dark purple, which I really don't like dark purple, but I had to add it. So I decided to do a little snail with a dark purple shell. And look at the little eyes. For the foliage, I did the same method. I added a neutral green on top of the cool tone Posca Pen layer. And then with smaller Posca Pens of red and brown, I drew the leaves within her hair between the animals as the foliage. And then it was time for her face, so I just did Sharpie and I called it a day. I was like, okay, I'm done. And I thought it looked okay. So then I did the eyes of the animals. I desperately like drawing animals more than people. Clearly, as I mess up this squirrel's face, which I fixed, but mistakes happen. I told you they were coming, and they were here. But I started to give the animals a life, and these were all of Rapunzel's little friends. I am literally not blinking as I'm drawing these because it's just I have to be so careful, as you can see, but it paid off. Look at that little face. Look at the axolotl. Would you die for him? I would die for him. I'm just speaking for myself. And then we gave the squirrel a tiny little acorn. And now it was time to do the mural of Rapunzel watering the magical flower. So I'm carefully marking where all the steps and the new stages of the flower are growing from. So I drew the flower blossoming and then slowly kind of withering away. And what I think is really cool about this mural is obviously Rapunzel doesn't even know that the magical flower exists or what it is, but it's in her DNA. So she knew what it looked like and she knew how to paint it. So I think that's really remarkable. So I did the watering can with the water sprouting out, splashy splashy. And then I copied the colors from the watering can, but I felt like it popped out too much and it didn't look right. So I did another wash of brown over it. And here I'm doing the vines. Oh boy, friends. These vines are so beautiful, but they were so strenuous to paint. There's actually a lot more vines throughout the mural, but this is the only time you'll see me paint it because they were so strenuous to do. So please enjoy this montage of adding each and every tiny little leaf. And with that, this section of the mural was done, meaning that we're done with all of the downstairs murals. She is done. She is gorgeous. She is beautiful. I've poured my heart and soul to this. But now it's time for the upstairs. So I need to explain this. So with the upstairs murals, I wanted to do these constellations of this ombre from pink to lavender, which you already saw me kind of prep. However, there are these panels of the upstairs that you probably recognize from the movie. I could not go off of this because this is only 2.5 panels worth of information, and it would just be too cluttered to combine the two. And plus, I struggle so much drawing the sun from the flag of Corona that there's no way I can do it inverted, hidden in so many murals. And so I'm just going to focus on this part of the mural. So I am just marking the lines for under our constellations and doing the curved part of it. I tried doing it with a string, a plate, and then I found that freehanding actually looked the best. And the cool thing about Rapunzel and why we get along so well in my brain is that she has such a soft-handed touch. Like, things aren't perfect and linear. She freehands a lot of her murals murals, and that's why I love doing this project. And so now I'm drawing the constellations and filling them in with this soft pastel color and drawing some stars of different types, and I added a sheep, which is so cute. And then I wanted to add various starred colors, just like in the mural. And then I realized my purple butterfly dried way too dark, but it was time to make it come to life with the constellation. And I'm doing so by just adding a bunch of teeny tiny stars around the shapes that I added. And this just makes it, look like a constellation. I added some of my own designs, hence the sheep, and then I just copied the other ones from the original mural, and I feel like I got better at it as I went along, like, with most things. So I added leaves and spirals, and the other animal that I decided to add was a cow jumping over the moon, and I thought this one would look really good right over her bed. I also was watching Sailor Moon in the background as I was painting this, so I was drawing usagis, which are bunnies in Japanese, so I added that there. And then I'm adding this mural here, which I did not put two and two together that it's this mural on the top left, but the basic shapes are there. But if I knew, I would have definitely added more detail. I am obsessed with details, but I am just continually adding different colored stars of various shapes and sizes, and that is honestly what turned this ombre of color with blobs of shapes to this magical starlight view. Then I'm just going over our white pencil lines with white paint of these horizontal lines in our star chart. I don't know what they're called. I don't know. If someone knows, let me know in the comments. And then I'm just fixing up a few little mistakes that happened along the way, no biggie, and I'm just erasing our original pencil lines. Then I'm using my hair to get rid of pencil shavings. It works great, and our palette is just fitting in perfectly with the Rapunzel theme. I paint the sides white of the sides that would be showing even after we glue it all together. And guys, she's done. Our murals are done. They are looking beautiful. Thank you for being a part of this journey. My eyes can finally start blinking. And now we're going to work on the exterior of the house a little bit, or not house, tower, prison, I don't know, by cutting out the windows of where it tells me to cut. And this part, I am not painting it. I am just using what the kit gives me, and we are just gonna be gluing it on. Look how bare and naked they all look, but don't worry, we're gonna change that. We're gonna be using some Yes Glue with a palette knife, and we are just gonna smear these forbidden cookies. Doesn't that look good? Like icing a gingerbread cookie or something? But I just place the paper on and give a nice back massage, put it in the paper into the glue, and I do that for all of it, and we are done. So next was time to do the windows and the door. She did not use this door, but we're gonna glue it on anyway. And I squeezed those windows into those holes. They did not fit perfectly. So next was time for the floor. So for the first floor, I just did the one from the kit because I thought the light wood looked great. But for the second floor, no, I'm not doing that. So I got this collage paper from Michaels, and I thought the darker wood looked better against the murals in contrast with the dark wood against the pastel murals. And it looked really great. We iced another forbidden cookie. This wood, you could actually see the texture to it, and you cannot tell me that doesn't look tasty. I was tempted. It looks like a cookie. But our floors were done, and it was time to do the glass of the windows, which you cannot tell what I'm doing here. But I am just cutting out clear plastic sheets to size and gluing them on, and look at the beautiful window, which you can barely tell is there. So next I had to glue these hinges to the panels, which I had no idea how far apart to do them, so this actually took a few tries till I finally got it, but we glued them down. And then I made these window boxes. They're literally called window boxes or flower planters for the windows, and we'll glue them on later. Then I glued the staircase together with the little handles and staircase rods, and I actually glued the window boxes to our windows, and when we fill these with flowers later, guys, it is so cute. But I successfully glued the hinges down to a good distance, and the second most stressful part about it was gluing it down, because once this is glued down, it's glued down. I can't magically paint over it like I can with a mural, and if I try ripping it apart, it'll rip the paper of the flooring. So I was sweaty. I'm sorry for telling you about my bodily fluids so much throughout this video, but I was sweaty. I'm just being honest with you. But with that and lots of deodorant later, our base of our tower is done. I am super happy at this point. I love how my favorite panel of the mural sticks out. So then it's time to start putting things in our tower, and I thought I'd start off with floor, right? Walls, floor, yes. And to my stupidity, I'm trying to make this perfectly level, not realizing I'm on a drafting table, which means the top of the table slanted. But then I realized it was the perfect exact same height as a mason jar. So I let that dry overnight, and our floor was built in. And then I cut out a piece of white cardstock so we had the top of our mantle flush against the wall. Then I had this copper miniature teapot that I thought would look so cute behind the mantle. Then it dawned on me I forgot to draw Rapunzel gazing at the lantern. So I draw a base coat of brown behind the mantle and I start drawing Rapunzel and her teeny tiny limbs of her teeny tiny body gazing up at the lanterns. I don't know if I meant to do it later because her hair actually goes down the fireplace, which leads my wrist to paint at a really weird angle where I paint a weird blob on the floor. So we get rid of that. And then I paint her pastel lavender dress on her. And then I start to glue in the staircase just to kind of map out where it would go. And then I get ready to glue it in as well as the fireplace, which I sand down because I can't paint her hair until the fireplace is glued in. So we carefully glue those pieces in, and then it was time to start gluing the furniture together. So I actually end up making all the furniture pieces that the kit comes with, even though I have no pictures and no text, but we make it work. So I make a tiered shelf, I make a dining table, and then I make a coffee table, which you'll then see me take apart later, but gluing these tiny little legs was an experience. Then we make this bulky chair that reminded me a lot of the one from Blue's Clues, a little shelf that goes in Rapunzel's bedroom, and then as the glue was drying, I thought this top piece would be perfect for Rapunzel's mirror downstairs, which you'll see me paint on later. And then we work on the furniture that goes upstairs. So the kit came with this awesome vanity, which looked just like the one from the movie, so I was super thankful for that. And these legs were struggling with me a lot. And then we make the bed frame with these wooden pieces. Then we're going to do the bed frame and just start gluing it together. And then this is where I wanted to start working on the mirror. The mirror is a huge fundamental part of the movie. It represents so much of how Rapunzel sees herself and just her freedom if you rewatch it thinking of the significance of the mirror. Then I'm giving her a cute little bedside table. Next, I'm going to start working on the iconic green chair that Eugene is tied up to by Rapunzel's hair. And then, of course, I start working on the dresser that Eugene is trapped in. So I really wanted to get the ornamental shape and style that that dresser has. So I used white cardstock and cut that out. And then I start working on the mirror for the vanity. So I just cut out this shape to go into the vanity. And this part was from the kit. So go kit. And then I glued the front shape from the dresser onto the dresser pieces. So this I had to play around with. I actually used the parts that would be the drawers that the kit wanted me to use, and I just stacked them to be the top and bottom. And here's a look at everything we have so far, unpainted, undecorated. We gotta add Rapunzel's hair down the mantle, and everything's just looking very white. We're not gonna be using the chair. I thought we weren't going to be using either table, but some of that changes. And now we're going to actually start painting the furniture pieces. So I glue legs to the dresser, and I spend a really long time making the exact green of the chair, realizing I had a Posca color marker, super similar to that green, but it's okay. It adds depth or whatever. And I use this brown to make the wood of the mirror, and I do that same warm brown for the bedside table, and I do paint furniture pieces. This is my hand looking like it's covered in doo-doo while painting all of this. I'm the messiest painter ever, but I do paint a lot of things brown. And then I actually added some brown to the blue of this dresser because it kind of wanted it to look like the paint was chipping off. It's worn down, it's been there for a while, and even though Rapunzel's bed is white, I do paint it brown because there was just too much white furniture happening, and I wanted it to have that cottage core natural wood vibe to it more. And here are all the finished dried furniture pieces, and I thought they were looking great. My mirror stands, and our bed was coming to life and looking great, which we'll work on later. And for some reason I thought we were nearing the end of this project, not realizing how long I get into and how detailed I get into this project. But to add depth, I dry brushed green onto the chair, and I'm gonna add the gold edges to the dresser with this teeny tiny brush. And this very old gold paint dried kind of tacky, which kind of worked for my favor because it kind of made a thicker layer on top of the dresser, but it totally made it come out to life. The handles look great, and I just can't stop there. I just could not stop adding detail. So I am drawing Rapunzel's mural that she drew onto the dresser onto our teeny tiny miniature dresser. I'm using my teeny tiny Posca pens to do the 3 little miniature Rapunzels on it, as well as a bunch of different clothing items and ribbons and birds and thread and scissors. And as you heard me talk about before, I was watching Sailor Moon, and I feel like that looks a lot like the main character, Usagi. But anyway, I was frustrated because I was going off of a blurry picture, or I couldn't really see the details. And of course, once I'm done with this project, I find a fabulous, in-depth, detailed reference photo, but yeah, you guys can see that reference photo, but I can't. But look how cute this was. I added tiny little stipples and dots to bring depth, just like the mural, and she was complete. I had no idea going into this project I'd be painting an armoire, but here we are. It is one of my favorite pieces of the whole project. And then I'm just cutting out silver, I think it's cricket wrap, I'm not sure, into an oval, so we have a shiny little piece for reflection for our mirror. And then I want to do these details, but these details were on the back, but I wanted to kind of incorporate it as much as I could to the front. So I drew birds and then kind of like a mythical, whimsical pattern to the front, and I thought it looked really cute. And then I'm starting to use more wire, and I'm just cutting some wire to create little hooks for our shelves. That is part of the kit, not my own brain. And then I follow the kit's instructions to make these kind of curved wire pieces to make it look like our vanity can kind of move around, which Rapunzel's does, which is amazing. Look at our vanity. She's so cute. So we're gonna let that dry off to the side. I did break it a few times off camera. And then I'm just drawing the rest of Rapunzel's hair down the mantle. I give her different values of gold for highlights, or yellow I should say. And then it is time to move on to textiles. So I have a bunch of random fabric scraps from over the years that I thought we could use for this project. Hello. And I also bought printable fabric from Amazon, linked down below, so we can make our own custom prints. But I had a lot of samples from my wedding, and there were some fabric pieces that were included in the kit. So for this curtain around the mantle, I thought we would just use one of my bridesmaid sample colors, and I thought the red looked great, even though this doesn't really make sense to me. Who has curtains around the fireplace? That's just a huge fire hazard. But anyway, so I cut that piece in half, and I wanted to have this ruffly effect, but at this point I'm terrified of sewing, so I used fabric glue and wait to hold it down. And then I realized I did want to use this table, so we have like the kitchen area of the tower, so I paint that brown, but then I drop it into our curtain. But it's okay. We'll see how it is later. And I have a bunch of peach swatches from my bridesmaid dress selection that we're going to use for the canopy. I have purple fabric, and then these are the way our curtains ended up drying out with the glue. I open them up and I glue them in, which you'll see later, and there's our table. So now I start working on the bed. Oh, this bed took me a full day, y'all. So for the mattress, I just glue a white sheet around this piece of wood, and I soak it in glue so it is tight. But there is our mattress, so cute. Then I start moving on to the bedding. So I make some sheets, and then I had to make a pillow. So I was like, okay, Meg, now it is time for you to learn how to sew. So I watched a bunch of YouTube tutorials, thank you. And I had a lot of trial and error that I will spare your eyes from seeing, but I got this tiny little pillow down. I didn't know how to close the last seam correctly, so I just stuffed it. And then my solution was making a pillowcase that would cover the side where you can still the seam. So I cut that off, but you guys, that was my first time sewing. Look at this pillow. I have so much pride in this pillow. So I choose this buttercup yellow for the pillowcase. I make it inside out, and you would never know that I have really ugly seams on the other side of this pillow. Super cute. And I glue our mattress down, and here were the other pillows that I made. I know there's a lot of miniature artists that are very against gluing, so you can actually move it around and it's tangible. No, I gotta glue it down or it's gonna break or I'm gonna lose it. So I'm gluing all the pillows down. I thought this would look really cute for the bedding. We got a lilac, we have a dark purple for contrast, and then I wasn't sure how to glue the blanket down without it just like flattening out on the top. So I do a thin layer of glue, but then it dries looking like it has a cow print pattern, and Rapunzel is from the south, so I didn't like that. So I cut out the exact same size lilac fabric and glued it super lightly on top of it, and this worked super well because it had the shape that I liked glued down on the bottom, but if you touch it, it's still soft, so it worked out really nicely. Then I moved on to the headboard. Thank God we're back to painting, and I tried to draw the son of Corona. It looks like the clown from The Simpsons, but it's fine. I added more rays. It looked more like a sun, not a clown anymore. Thank goodness. And I wanted it to look like this canopy from the ceiling mural of her bedroom, and I wanted to do it on the headboard because I wasn't doing that mural. And I'm drawing the birds holding the ribbon, and it looked super cute, even though half of it is hidden from the pillows, but that's okay. I add some dots for detail, and then I give it a second coat, and our headboard is done, and it's time to glue it onto our bed. This is how she dried out. Thank goodness you cannot tell that there's glue under here, but see, I told you, it looks great. It's soft to the touch, but it has that form of the soft wrinkles in the fabric that I wanted. And then we're attaching her on. Then for an accessory of the bed, I wanted to draw the flag of Corona that is so symbolic to the movie. So I cut out this tiny piece of fabric, and y'all, YouTube told me I could use a lighter to fray the edges, but it did not work. I almost lit my home on fire. Do not try this at home. And then I noticed that the ink wasn't sitting well on the fabric directly, so I just colored the whole thing purple, which also prevented it from fraying. And I could not, for the life of me, draw the son of Corona. I had to do it so many times. But there she is. I did it after like the 30th try. We have our perfect flag of Corona, and it looks great on the bed. Then moving on top of the bed, I worked on the canopy, so I used the swatch, cut it in half. I don't even know what I did with thread, but I tried to make it look all ruffly and pretty. I cut a tiny piece of ribbon from a big piece of ribbon and trimmed it down, and our canopy was done. I have no idea what I did, but I think it looks really cute. Then it was time for accessories, what actually makes it look like Rapunzel's been trapped here for her whole life. So the kit did come with lighting and electricity, but that did not exist when this movie took place, so we're just gonna put that away. Yes, but these pieces give me an idea for something great. You will see what we do with these later on. The kit also comes with just some fabric and random pieces and bits and bobs that we use less or more of. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the amounts of bits and bobs, so I categorized them, and look how satisfying that is. I went by material and color, and I had a comb from my childhood Barbie set that I thought we could use for Rapunzel's hair. So to start off, I'm going to be using these red beads to make Max's apples. So I cut a green piece of wire down for the stems, and with the green paper that it came with, I cut these teeny tiny leaves and carefully glue one or two on, that's my cat's hair, to an apple. And look at our teeny tiny apples. They are so teeny tiny. Max would be so proud of us. This is what they look like when they're dried. Perfection. But then we need to put them in something. So the kit came with this blue bowl to make, which I do make, but I wasn't in love with it, so I find something better later. Then throughout the whole tower are these ivy plants. So I'm cutting out these teeny tiny little leaves, and I'm gluing these tiny leaves to a green stem that I will glue into this brown bead that looks like a pot. I carefully let it dry without touching it, and it dries really, really nicely. Then I'm going to make a bigger house plant with the leftover green paper with these big leaves like the birds of paradise, and I am just gluing a green wire in between two pieces of leaves. And I didn't like how the glue dried on the leaves, so I paint it green, and I add some more variety to each leaf because I'm crazy. And then I make the vase for it, which I am bad with the sun here. Okay, I drew this before the flag, but it's fine. It works. Okay, it works. And the blue matches the armoire. But anyway, so I glue these stems and leaves into the vase just by filling it with glue and plucking, putting them all in there. Not plucking. So then we're going to work on Rapunzel's comb. So originally I wanted to paint it gold because I'm obsessed with gold, but I then realized silver looked better, and that's what they used in the movie. So I started painting it silver, and it looks way better on top of the green. So I let the first coat dry, and then I move on to a bunch of beads. So I pull up beads that I think I can use for candles and bottles, and I glue tinier beads on top of it to look like caps. And there's no way Rapunzel has this many products. She seems very low maintenance, but we make her a lot anyway. And that is our first model for a candle. You're about to see a lot of those, and here are all of them. We'll see which ones we end up using later. And now we're going to work on all of the candles. So I just cut out a bunch of various gold wire lengths and stuck them into these long white beads, and I have glue hanging off of it to look like wax, and I think it looks really good. And then I'm working on candlesticks, so when I just do so by sticking our dried candles onto these gold beads, and I think the gold ones work best. And then Rapunzel has this actual candlestick holder in her bedroom, so I glue wider gold beads together with a little gold wire as a handle. Oh, do you guys see how cute that is? And the glue looks like wax. I am obsessed with this candlestick. I had no idea I could fall in love with such a small candlestick. I'm so proud and attached to it. So next we're going to work on Rapunzel's paintbrushes and paint. So for her paintbrushes, I'm going to do that wide one by cutting up an old small paintbrush and creating a little handle. And then for the smaller ones, I'm going to cut up a toothpick into various different lengths and then flatten the end for the bristles. You can kind of already start to see the shape, but then once I paint on the paintbrush, it totally comes to life. So I do beige for the bristles, silver for the ferrule, and then I do the handle brown. And there we have Rapunzel's paintbrushes. So now we're going to do her actual paint jars, which doesn't make any sense. How is it not drying out? What is this magical paint? But I'm going to be using these wooden jars from Walmart and filling it with ink from a Posca pen, and it actually dries really cool and has like the drips on the side. Of course, we give her the primary colors in pink and white and black, so she has access to all the colors. And then we're going to do her palette. So I could not cut a popsicle stick no matter how hard I tried. So I just had this printout of a palette, glued them together, and then cut out a palette shape from it. It actually ended up working really well. I think Pascal looks so cute holding the palette with his tail. I wish I had a chameleon in real life that did that, but no, I don't think that exists. The next accessory I wanted to give Rapunzel is a little canvas, and I thought we could paint Pascal in a dress, and I was like, no, I have to draw this cat from this mural from the ceiling of her bedroom. As wonky as it is, I had to draw it. So I tried doing it with the magical flower growing from its tail, and I matched the colors from the painting on the palette because I thought that just makes sense. And they actually look super cute together. And now we're going to work on the accessories in the kitchen. And of course, we need the knife. Please tell me you understand that reference so I just don't sound like a weirdo. So I glue the knife to the charcuterie board, and then I glue these apples into the bowl. Not really still liking the blue, but for now it works. And I'm just kind of staging things. I'm getting really excited to put everything together. And you guys remember that little flower from the electrical kit? We're going to turn into Pascal's bed. So I paint the flower the same color lilac, and I want to give it a stand so it's the same height as the bed. So I'm exploring options for that. But then I was like, wait, I need to give Pascal a pillow. He deserves extreme luxury for a chameleon. So I take this like lilac satin fabric and I make a pillow off camera, which you'll see later. Next, we're going to give Rapunzel her iconic frying pan. I had got this from a set off Amazon, but it was just way too glossy. So I'm going to make it look a lot more like the cast iron one by seasoning it, if you will, with paint. And once the paint dries, it looks super realistic and I'm super happy with it. And now we're gonna give Rapunzel her broom so she can sweep till the floor's all clean. I love that song. A lot of the accessories are from that song, but I just took apart twine and I stuffed them into another old ferrule of an old paintbrush, which I realized I didn't even have to do. I could have just wrapped them with string around a pole, but no, I had to make it a little bit more modern and fancy. You're welcome, Rapunzel. And there's a little dustpan for Pascal. Next is time for the crown. I just ordered this off Amazon. I could not make this. It is a crown ear cuff that I thought looked very similar. It is linked down below. So next we're gonna go on to Rapunzel's wide library, just like from Beauty and the Beast. I'm just kidding. This girl has 3 books. 3. But how you make them is you print out the full cover with a bunch of paper, obviously the same width, and you fold it like an accordion, and then you have all these cute little pages as a book. So I made them way too small at first, so I had to do it again. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to give her more books. I was like, no. She's a prisoner. We give her 3. This is where I had to stop myself, y'all. I was about to paint the same covers from the movie onto them, and I was like, no, Meg, you need to stop. The ones from Google Images are fine. Speaking of which, we print on printable fabric. So I am now moving on to the rugs of our tower. This is our last accessory, and I was not about to print the rugs and waste all that paper. So I printed out a bunch of Sailor Moon prints. They did all print out a little bit faded, so I just painted purple on the back, hoping it would seep through in a nice way. And it actually did, and I did a dark purple and a light purple. I just did purple rugs that I found off of Google Images. But I thought these 2 worked best. And it's so cool that it's fabric. I totally recommend this printable paper, you guys. And we're done with the accessories. So now we just have to glue the roof to the tower and then put the things in the tower and then we're done. If I thought I was sweaty before, I was not prepared for gluing the roof down. But that's okay, because we're gonna stop. I'm gonna shave off this like layer of paint that was keeping the panels from not being flush. And this was my best friend throughout this journey, is this Tabletop Vacuum. I love him. Next, we're gonna start by painting the sides white because they do show on the ones that are open. So I paint that white, and I discovered these large Posca pens. 1 swipe, I'm done. Okay. I'm going to get the panels ready. I'm going to put my favorite panels on the side that opens up so you can appreciate the beauty more. And then it's glue time. We ain't going back. It's gluing time. We're just going to do it. Okay, first piece down. What am I supposed to lean it on? Okay, tacky glue. Second piece. What am I supposed to lean this one on? Okay, wait, they're actually sticking together. This glue is awesome. It dries really fast. Okay, third one. Ooh, okay, there's a little bit of glue. That's okay. Just wipe it off. Just wipe it off, Meg. It's okay. Let's go. 4th panel down. Boom. Beautiful. Here's where things get tricky. I have the panels that open. It's okay. Just lean them on the parts that are glued down for now, and then hopefully things will be okay. But I can't peek in and see if there's glue goozing in the middle. But it's okay. We'll just deal with it later. Now we're going to focus on the foliage. I'm going to just organize our moss by color when I'm just hoping, praying that our roof is drying okay. I also have this sheet moss, but before we go in, we're going to clean the windows with, yes, Windex. And once they're cleaned, I'm going to start filling in our window boxes with moss and this colored dry flower moss. I'm not sure what it is. And look how cute. It looks just like Rapunzel's window. And because I'm crazy, I decided to paint the hinges gold. I just feel like gold goes better with the Rapunzel aesthetic, with the flower and how her hair glows. And now I'm going to work on the moss foliage just to make it look like that tower's been hidden in the forest for so long. So I have no idea again what I'm doing, but I thought I would just do these like blobby organic shapes of the moss climbing up the tower. And here we have a moldy forbidden cookie. No, okay. But I felt like I needed some direction of what shape to do, so I decided to do an animal, and I decided to make it half cat, half fox, and half bunny. And a huge mess later, this was the shape of the moss that I created. Yes, it's very blobby, but isn't it so cute? And the gold looks super pretty on the hinges. I'm really glad that I painted over it. However, I do feel like it just looks like someone glued moss here. So I wanted to add just kind of like some strands of moss growing outwards. And then I add whiskers. Okay, no one can stop me at this point, but don't worry, I do add some naturally growing out moss, which you'll see in a second. But while the moss is out, I had these extra beads that look like vases and pots that I filled it in with some moss. And then I had these fake succulents from Walmart that I cut really tiny and put them in the pot. And oh, they're so cute. And here's what it looks like with more of the natural moss growing out. I think it looks a lot more realistic this way than moss bunny. And I was finally able to put the moss all over my table and floor away. Then I had this genius idea to make the Eugene wanted poster. So there you have the world's tiniest wanted poster. We are at the finishing touches here, people. I found this basket that I thought would be really cute to go outside of a window with a gold wire as a hook, so Rapunzel can have a way of bringing things up and down. And you guys, we did it. We made everything. Like, everything is done and built. It is just time for placement. So because of my anxiety, I cannot glue anything just yet. I want to kind of figure out the most perfect, beautiful, precise placement that we can possibly have. Also, look how much better our hand-painted flag looks than the fabric printed one. Beautiful. So I'm just putting in the furniture from large to small, and here is our kitchen table that I'm trying to show you guys, which I drop and break a leg, but that's okay. Breaking a leg is what you're supposed to do when you're finally done with your project and showing it to the world, right? But that's okay, the magic of glue and repainting. But I'm putting in all the objects, and you can totally see this project coming to life. We have our fixed table that'll go and live right there safely. Then I'm mapping out some of the smaller accessories, and I found this metal bowl, which worked way better with our apples, and this tiny doily. And then I glue Pascal's bed together with this metal bead, which I thought looked way better. And are you ready for tiny baby Pascal? I bought this tiny charm from a necklace that you get at Disney World or something from eBay, and he is perfect. It was like $5 and he's perfect. In an ideal world, I made him out of polymer clay, but we do not have time for this. This project took so long, I don't even want to tell you how long it took. And this is a little bit where I started to struggle. I wasn't sure how to fit all the accessories on that one little ladder shelf thingy, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the crown on the base of the stairs like it's kind of hiding, or if I wanted to put it on her vanity. And friends, you and I made so many candles together. I wasn't sure how to fit them all because obviously they need to see and there's no electricity, but I didn't want the tower to feel cluttered. Same thing with all the fancy bottles. I made way too much. But then with Pascal's bead came this tiny golden magical flower, and I put it in this flower bowl, and it was perfect. It was a perfect ode to how Rapunzel was born, so I put that on the shelf in her room. And because I don't know where to stop within my art projects, I dry brushed the dining table just because I felt like it should be lighter and looked a little bit more aged. And while it wasn't staged in, I realized I really liked the living room without it. It felt really open and I could see Rapunzel twirling around in the middle, but the girl needed to eat in a kitchen, so I put it back. I think I spent an entire night just staring at this tower to figure out where I wanted everything to be glued down to, and I finally figured out what I was happy with. So The story is slowly coming to a close. I'm gluing everything down permanently. I'm really happy with the layout that I chose that you'll see, and I actually decided to glue down my canvas of the cat. It was just too cluttered, but doesn't the shelf look amazing, friends? It literally looks like Rapunzel comes over here and uses that paint all the time. And we glued Pascal upright and glued his bed right next to Rapunzel, and oh, it's so sweet. I'm not sure if I glued this shelf down at the most perfect angle, but it's down. It is what it is. And then it was time to glue things in the downstairs, so I'm gluing our candlesticks by the mantle, even though I don't get why there's curtains above the fireplace or candles there, but it's okay. It was honestly super hard for me to glue things down here because I was really attached to the animals on the mural, and covering it with furniture was a little bit hard for me, but I feel like we made it open enough where you can still enjoy the animals. And with that, friends, everything is officially glued down and she's done. I am still just super obsessed with how this shelf came out with her painting kit. Her bed genuinely looks really relaxing and cozy. She has her 3 books. You'll see how I decided to glue her crown and her comb down on her vanity. I was honestly really worried about the roof caving in, but it's quite sturdy. The hinges do an awesome job at moving. I love how the mural of all the animals in her hair and the rainbow animals are on the panel that's sticking out the most, so you can really appreciate the detail. Downstairs is such a dream. I really feel like I'm in the tower, immersed with her singing and helping her with her chores when I'm down here. As you can see, our animals aren't too hidden, and I love the use of fake plants throughout this tower. I think the red curtain came out pretty good for that being the first textile of the project, but it was really awesome seeing myself get better at those skills as the project went on. The mural of her looking up at the lanterns are beautiful, but you guys, the animals will always be my favorite. And the outside of the tower is honestly really great as well. To close our story and this video, I wanted to read you this quote from the Art of Tangled Book, and it says, "There's an image of Rapunzel free, flying in the air as a sunburst, which says so much. This is a girl who has to get out and bless the world," and that's really what I want to do with my YouTube channel, and it has been awesome making art videos like this. So if you could please subscribe and like this video, it would really help me and help me continue to make art videos like this. So thank you so much for your support. I love you so much, and I hope that you guys get to go out and bless the world. So I love you, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.